Chapter 82 Monk Golden Light. The person who spoke was a 3 feet tall dwarf standing beside Jia Tianlong. The dwarf was 40 years old and had a thin body frame that was covered by a red robe embroidered with gold thread. On his finger and around his neck were, respectively, a gold ring and an extremely thick gold chain. Around his waist, several gold bells hung from his belt. Even his gold teeth reflected a golden light whenever he opened his mouth. This was a look that only the rich could afford to have. At this moment, impatience clouded his features. Evidently, he was extremely unsatisfied with Jia Tianlong's cautiousness. Disguised as a wealthy merchant from a village, the dwarf actually dared to show such disrespect towards Jia Tianlong. This caused the loyal iron guards standing nearby to glare at the dwarf with extreme rage smoldering in their eyes. This dwarf could obviously see the rage within the eyes of Jia Tianlong's loyal iron guards, and he coldly laughed, as if he did not put them in his eyes at all. He even arrogantly stated, "Commander Jia, you spent 3,000 taels of gold to invite me over. Surely the money you spent was not just for me to passively stare in vain for an entire night, correct? Whoever you need me to deal with, just tell me directly. However, you don't need me to deal with the sect leader of the 7 Mysteries sect, right? Against such a weak person, you can just settle it yourself. Why do you still need to spend money and hire me for assistance? Just a mere sect leader of the 7 Mysteries sect truly does not warrant the attention of Immortal Master. The reason why I invited Immortal Master was because the sect leader of the 7 Mysteries sect still has 3 senior martial uncles. On the surface, these 3 people have been declared dead, but in reality, they have been undergoing closed-door cultivation inside a hidden chamber on Setting Sun Summit. I'm afraid that their current cultivation bases have already broken through to the transformation realm. Against these martial uncles, ordinary experts would not be a match for them. These 3 people are the strongest pillars of the 7 Mysteries sect, thus, I have no choice but to humbly beseech Immortal Master to deal with them for us." Jia Tianlong sounded extremely pathetic, without a hint of anger in his voice. Jia Tianlong had coincidentally met this red-robed dwarf in a Taoist temple near the border of the Savage Lands. A self-proclaimed monk Golden Light, this martial arts expert was equipped with immense magical powers, and he had demonstrated techniques for controlling flying swords and cultivating an invulnerable steel body. After Jia Tianlong personally witnessed this, he was deeply mesmerized by the might displayed by the 2 techniques. When he suspected that the dwarf was most likely someone who had walked the fabled path of immortals, he decided to establish a relationship with him. After knowing that the dwarf had an extreme obsession with gold, Jia Tianlong immediately gifted a huge amount of gold to the dwarf. With this, he had finally moved the dwarf's heart, obtaining a promise that the dwarf would help him with his problems just once. Thus, Jia Tianlong acted meek and humble like someone from the junior generation whenever he was in the dwarf's presence, not daring to reveal the slightest bit of disrespect. He was very clear in his heart. This monk Golden Light was someone that his tiny feral wolf gang was unable to contend with. After monk Golden Light heard his request, he let out a crazed laughter. Once his laughter subsided, he exclaimed arrogantly, "Just a few mortals? Leave them to me. No matter how high their cultivation bases have reached, no matter how strong their martial arts are, they would definitely not be a match for my flying sword technique. You can just relax. Then, I will have to trouble Immortal Master. The rewards I promised will definitely be delivered, and what's more, I've decided that after the matter is settled, the reward will be increased by 2,000 taels of gold." Jia Tianlong appeared overjoyed as he increased the reward without hesitation. After all, he knew that his helper was certainly not amiable. It was better if he directly used gold to speak. After monk Golden Light heard this, traces of a smile broke out on his wizened face. He nodded his head in satisfaction, obviously happy with the increased reward. After obtaining the guarantee of such a powerful figure, monk Golden Light, Jia Tianlong no longer remained cautious and commanded his forces from the feral wolf gang to rush to the top of the Setting Sun Summit to prepare to attack the main division of the 7 Mysteries sect, the 7 Supreme Division. Because there were so many people rushing up the summit, Jia Tianlong and the rest of the Iron Guard had to expend tremendous effort to finally arrive at the entrance of the division. Staring at the main division of his most hated enemy, Commander Jia was still taken aback by the majesty of the 7 Supreme Division Hall. He felt that the main hall of his feral wolf gang was nothing but a dog tunnel, unbearable to be looked upon when compared to this place. Looking at the empty acres of land on top of Setting Sun Summit, there were quite a number of halls constructed from bluestone, 1 large building, followed by 6 smaller ones. Although the dim light from the torches was insufficient to fully see the details of the buildings in the dark of the night, the imposing and majestic aura of the bluestone halls was still capable of astonishing the members of Feral Wolf Gang and the other small sects. The attackers did not immediately start their attack, but rather surrounded the bluestone halls, with the intent to not even allow a single fly pass through. Indeed, our opponent is a sect that has existed for over 200 years. This level of wealth simply could not be matched by the clans and sects that have only existed for a decade. How extravagant! Jia Tianlong silently exclaimed in his heart. He had already decided that once the 7 Mystery sect was eliminated, he would immediately move over to the main Bluestone Hall and designate it as his center of command. Such a majestic building would only benefit a status such as his own. Jia Tianlong glanced at the main hall's pitch-black entrance. After observing his surroundings, he slowly raised his right hand into the air. In that moment, silence descended upon the people surrounding the Setting Sun Summit as the gazes of the crowd turned to Jia Tianlong's hand. They knew that once the arm was swung down, it would signal the start of the attack. Wait! Suddenly, a cold voice drifted over from the pitch-black main hall. Pada! Pada! A wave of footsteps rang out from within as the sound grew clearer and clearer. Finally, a white-robed, middle-aged man emerged. This figure had a wooden hairpin on, and the only equipment he had on his body was a long sword in a white scabbard. His face was incomparably pale, but his eyes were bright. Wherever he looked, those who met his gaze felt as if sharp swords had cut into their hearts, causing them to shiver despite the warm air. After leaving the hall and walking 10 meters away, he stopped as he slowly contemplated the crowd standing in front of him, without a trace of fear in his eyes. Finally, his vision landed upon Jia Tianlong's right hand that was raised up in the air. His gaze moved from Jia Tianlong's right arm to Jia Tianlong's face. Jia Tianlong. This middle-aged man shouted out the name of Commander Jia. Wang Juchu. Not wanting to appear weak, Jia Tianlong also shouted out the name of his adversary. Speaking of which, this is the first time that we've met face to face as the respective leaders of our individual camps, is it not? My dear sect leader Wang. Jia Tianlong used a leisurely tone as traces of a mocking smile hung upon his lips. He slowly retracted his extended right arm from the air. Wang Juchu stared expressionlessly at Jia Tianlong without saying anything. The atmosphere began to grow increasingly tense. Sect leader Wang came to this place alone. Could it be that you intend to surrender? Smiling, Jia Tianlong asked this question with a hint of ridicule. You are correct. I wanted to discuss with you matters regarding a surrender. The 7 Mystery Sects sect leader, Wang Juchu, replied icily, similar to in sculpture made of frigid snow.